All right, so here I am. I'm gonna touch on the Don't Sleep series just a little bit, and yeah, so far as you can tell, I'm gonna look at Emiya first, and then after that, I'm gonna try and go on to Iskandar, and maybe even Artoria, just to see, how nerfed she was in the anime. And after that, yeah, I was thinking about doing it was like a 40-minute dead apostle video from Tsiah here, and then either that or like maybe it was an El Malloy. Yeah, that's what it was, an hour long too. So yeah, if I had to, I'll like kind of do half of it, cut, and then do another half. Part 1 and part 2. And I don't even know. I might go back to the Lost Belts too. So yeah, it's just things I was thinking about. And then also what I was thinking about, playing Fate Grand Order. Yes, the game, live streaming it or something. But yeah, I had to get on that later. But yeah, I was definitely thinking about that. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, might as well play Fate Grand Order. Let me see what it's about. I sort of did. And yeah, I'm just still thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I gotta really be ready to get into that. But other than that, though, hope you guys will enjoy this. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get this reaction started.
Throughout my years of being in the Fate community, I've seen a lot of people discuss whether or not this servant can take on that servant can take on this servant, and
yeah, what would happen?
These often turn into some real heated debates. I've seen it happen on the forums, I've seen it in the comment section of other videos, and a couple of mine as well. And while I do think that this is an interesting conversation, very rarely do I see people talk about this in an actual video. So today we're gonna do just that. We're gonna talk about Emiya, who is an OG servant from 2004.
That boy.
And we're gonna see how well he stacks up to all the new servants after all this time. One thing that you'll come to realize once you've seen a good amount of Fate is that somewhere down the line, traditional ranks become a bit of a side factor in the grand scheme of things. Emiya is a servant who is credited for having just average speed.
Now look, yeah, let me see this real quick. Yeah, he not the best stats here. Okay, yeah, caster male. Okay, alignment neutral, and then independent action ability that allows. Oh, okay, I see that. Nullifies single magic. Okay. Not the best luck. Okay.
You take a look at the dub route, and you see him hanging with Sasaki Kojiro at close range, despite Sasaki being described to be a master swordsman with A+ agility. There are several times that this happens to occur throughout the franchise. I wouldn't rack my brain over it. You come to realize what really matters is circumstance and the abilities. Say that you're a servant that has A-rank strength. Sure, you may be defined to be the strongest, but if you don't have access to that power, then it becomes virtually useless. On a common note, you may be credited as someone who is a fast.
Oh yeah, I remember that was clean.
In a situation like Emiya, where you're being petrified by Medusa, and you don't have the parameters to cancel it out, then how much does that speed really matter? What separates Emiya from the very beginning is that he is only a man, and he's being thrown into the belly of the beast.
Yeah, literally.
Look at the servants from Fate Stay Night. All of his contemporaries are pretty much gods. Ku's a god, Medusa's a god, Gil's a god.
Yes, especially Gil and Hercules.
Emiya,
was Hercules
somewhat of a normal man turned counter guardian, holding his own against these deities, if not showing them up majority of the time. At the beginning of the novel, we were able to witness a hint of this in his first battle against Ku. Now, once we get further into the story, we find out that Ku's overall prowess was being restricted by a command seal during this fight. But despite that being said, Lancer was still faster than Emiya the first time around. And regardless of this being the case, Emiya was still able to respond to his attacks by projecting weapon upon weapon at a moment's notice after having them break several times in a row. It's almost as if the way that he fights in and of itself is a callback to his own training when he was Shiro, where he practiced magecraft on a day-to-day basis to the brink of death. This self-induced mental strife is the same sort of thing that would later prepare him for these gut-reacting situations. The novel tells us that Ku also threw over 100 blows and Emiya lost a sword every single time. That's over 100 spawns in just a short period of time. Ku himself said, "Aight bruh, I know for a fact that I've disarmed you at least 27 times." And Emiya mocks him for this as if to say that he spawned so many weapons that Ku can't even keep up with the actual count. By the time that the second fight rolls around, Lancer is no longer being held back by the command spell, which means that he can now go all out against Emiya with his full power. This is when we discover one of Emiya's true shortcomings: speed. Now, he's not necessarily slow by any means, but when it comes to speed, he's definitely not the fastest servant around. When Lancer was able to finally stop holding back, Emiya himself admitted that he couldn't even recognize what was going on because the attacks were coming out that fast. At this point, he was forced to use his experience from the first fight,
Mind's
combined
eye.
with one of his skills.
Okay, actually, I'll look at this too real quick. Calm analysis of the situation. Yes, stay calm. And the enemy's, ability in spite of danger. Okay, 1% chance of a comeback. Okay, but that luck, I don't know about that.
When it comes to Sasaki, Hurt, and
But yeah, he just has a
all of these servants are top
disadvantage
tier
with
in
that
agility.
speed.
Don't get it twisted. The only reason Emiya is hanging with these servants in speed is because Eye of the Mind is telling him the best course of action. But that's the cool thing about it. He can use his mind's eye to make up the difference for not having their speed, thus being able to at least stand his ground against faster servants when another person couldn't, if nothing else. We then see him use Roaius to block the Gay Bull, Ku's strongest attack. This is a nod to his durability. This is an attack that honestly shouldn't be blocked at all, being reduced to nothing in return of Emiya spending majority of his energy. Then of course, he turned around, clashed with Saber, and casted his reality marble at a point where you would assume that he had nothing left. Now, moving along to his archery, although Emiya says that he only has one trick up his sleeve, he in fact has access to both sword and bow skills at will, putting him ahead of a lot of servants right off the bat. One of his greatest feats, and one that I feel like needs to be reanimated, is him getting his shine on in the Fate route when he defeated Heracles 6 times in a row.
Yep.
Yes, Heracles.
I remember that fight.
Servant,
Yeah.
one of the fastest servants in the franchise. And in that class specifically, he is adept at close range combat. Now, in the novel, it tells us that this fight was undescribed. We don't really know how he pulled it off. All we know is that he did.
Yeah, he did it. That's all that matters.
Gives us an idea of how the fight may have went down. For starters, we see Emiya using his bow. That's right. Even in an enclosed area, this man was still giving Herc noble phantasms to the face with his bow. Granted, Herc was tanking those phantasms, but the idea is that he's an archer and he started at a disadvantage and he's still holding his own. Now, as you guys know, Herc has the Noble Phantasm God Hand, which means that this dude can't even be harmed unless it's coming from an A-rank Phantasm. This makes his fight with Herc even more impressive because he's only able to do damage with A-rank Phantasms, which means that he would be consuming the largest amount of energy possible through the entire fight, and he was still able to do his thing. Next, we see him trying to take some of Herc's lives with Khonsho and Bachya. Going back to Herc's God Hand, Emiya's Khonsho and Bachya were only C rank, so by normal standards, they wouldn't even be effective. On the flip side, when they're wielded together, their parameters get an increase and they gain anti-physical powers. He can also reinforce them to further provide himself with his over-edge counterpart. At that point, taking lives from Herc with these babies sounds a lot more believable. And lastly, of course, he goes out with a bang using his reality marble. Ilya was so shocked by Archer's strength that she could only assume that Heracles had to be holding back. Heracles can't even talk, but the narration implied that he also was impressed by Archer's skills and really wished that he could have fought him under a different circumstance. Ku mentioned the same thing during their battle. Just like his sword skills, Emiya's archery skills are nothing to just brush off. He's shown the ability to seamlessly switch from sword to bow during combat at the last minute. Shiro has described Emiya's shots from his bow to look like
machine
they would be
gun
strong enough to mow down an entire house. Now, when you hear this, your first thought is that, oh, they're just trying to gas it up to make it sound cooler. But when you take a look at Emiya's fight against Ku in Grand Order, and you see the actual dimensions of one of his shots from Ku's perspective, that kind of looks like it might take down a house or two. Might tear the whole block up on a good day. So we have to take this literal. Hollow Ataraxia also gives us a more detailed look at his skills. In his fight against Saber, it was stated that the distance between them was at least 4,000 meters. Emiya's final shot was said to be delivered in an instant. Of course, the game had to slow it down to make it discernible to the reader, but by the way that it was laid out, the narration suggested that the shot was instantaneous. Mach speed on average comes in at about 343 meters per second. If we divide Mach speed into 4,000, this would mean that Emiya's shot is hitting for at least Mach 11.
That was definitely instant.
To further put this into perspective, the average bullet is only 1,800 miles per hour, which means that
he's going
covering a range of 2.5 miles at 5 times the speed of a bullet in a second. And once he packs his shots with magical energy, these bullets practically become missiles. Insane. Another example of this is when Ren asked Archer for his help when they were fighting against Berserker. No different from Ataraxia, Archer let go of his shot at the duration of 6:18. We saw a flash in the sky to let us know that it was coming at 6:19, and it came into contact with Berserker at 6:20. This is how fast this man is actually shooting. Mind you that the distance here is longer than it was before. As we saw in the UB-Dub route when Shiro took Archer's skills, Emiya can also hard counter projectiles with his reality marble as long as he has access to the resources, meaning that he's bound to give a lot of range-based characters that work. Not saying that he would be invincible or anything like that, but he's definitely not giving up any fights for free, as we saw with Heracles. Another cool thing about Khonsho and Bachya is that when they're brought out together, they also give the user anti-magic attributes.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just pause this too. Yeah, like how you just said, their rank is a C minus. Twin swords. That he likes to use. Yeah, we know he likes to use those, both of them. Strong bond. Oh, that will return to their user even if events cause them to be lost. Okay. I think that's something probably didn't know. But let's see. The strength is high. So yeah, you get magic and physical resistance. Okay.
On top of everything else, it's like having magic resistance and you don't even need to have the skill. Who needs skills when you got these on you? This allows him to break out of Medea's binding spell despite being on her turf with his back against the wall. He was able to dodge several of her energy beams on foot like it was nothing while carrying Shiro at the same exact time. He then throws his swords as a diversion that would give him enough time to prepare a shot with his bow. The ridiculous thing about this is that the novel tells us that he actually missed the shot. And this is just another testament to Archer's hypersonic speeds as a bowman. He didn't even hit her with his arrow, which means that the shockwave was so powerful that just being near it caused her great damage and knocked her out of the sky. This is on top of him breaking through her magical barrier when she tried to block it. He broke through the barrier of a magecraft specialist with ease. And then finally, another nod to his durability being that he survived several phantasms at point blank range from Gil after having his fight with Shiro, and then surviving this a day later, protecting Ren and Shiro with no mana supply to boot. So, for the conclusion, in reality, Archer honestly shouldn't even be this strong. I feel like he's a little too good to be average, but the limitations of his raw power threshold him when you put him next to the other servants. He does, however, have the versatility, the tact, and the unwillingness to yield that still makes him a formidable opponent. After all of this time and with 200 servants making their way into the franchise, I gotta say that Emiya is a B-ranked servant.
B, okay.
And that says a lot when you consider all the servants that he's up against. By the way, I decided to skip the scene where he survived the shadow, mostly because it was plot driven, so there wasn't really much to say there in terms of it being a feat. Also, I've heard that he has some feats in the extraverse in case you guys wanted to throw some of those in as well. Let me know what you guys think. Like this video so we can get it trending. Share this video so everybody will know about it. And follow me on Twitter for more updates on the Type Moon content.
Okay, and
your boy Tsiah.
I think that should be it.
Out.
Yeah, he's out. Okay. See, I just got to learn a little bit more of Emiya here, especially with the Heracles thing. Yeah, he wasn't even using like A rank weapons, but you know, using them both together kind of just evens it out and makes up for that strength. But yeah, I mean, he's able to pull through with all these crazy servants, right? As just being a human, you know, that's the problem. Like, he's not gonna have speed like that. Not gonna have the strength like that unless you're training every single day on your body like that. Then okay, I get that. But and I'm pretty sure, yeah, he did some type of training. But yeah, unless you're like really going at it and getting yourself better, then I can see, yeah, you won't have no excuse for that strength. Then it's got to be somewhat good. And then let me see again his whole thing. Was it way in the beginning? Okay. Yeah, that luck is just, wow. Yeah, magical energy, strength, endurance. Yeah, he has that endurance. And that magic resistance. Yeah. And especially someone like him, it's like, yeah, I want him to be ranked higher because, you know, I like Emiya or Shiro, Archer, but yeah, no, at the end of the day, still is just kind of human. And there are some servants that are just human as well, but it's just, the things that they've done in life and the abilities and all that, Excalibur, yeah. Yes, it's definitely way different. Even Ku, like, yeah, it's just still somewhat different. But yeah, I like to see, yeah, those swords, they definitely have a lot more importance than just, yeah, simply being likable, right? Just simply, Emiya just simply using those all the time. Like, no, they actually have some use to them. And yeah, you don't want to take those swords lightly. But overall, I think that's about it for this. Yeah, I just wanted to see this. Be like, okay, yeah, let's see what Emiya has. Because, yeah, this should be, like, yeah, the version after using so much projection to where he is sort of weaker, but can still, like, at least do some things, right? But other than that, that should be about it. And I just keep on going. Oh, yeah, and this too. Yeah, that's crazy. So, yeah, those arrows are, yeah, that quick. Yeah, definitely is an archer. Yeah, and for someone to be an archer, I'm not saying he doesn't use his bow and arrow like that. It's just, yeah, I be seeing him do more physical combat, right? And that just shows, like, yeah, he's definitely good. Like, he doesn't need the bow and arrow all the time. Like, no, he can really use his swords and go crazy with that. But yeah, once he bring out that bow and arrow, he is, I mean, the shot is just that quick. Like, yeah, you don't even want to be close to it, which is crazy. And oh no, I actually might have to go back for this. Like, hold up. See how quick that actually was. But on physical resistance. Okay. Well, yep, that is about it for this one. So like I said, I might just do like Iskandar after that. My boy, see how he is like. Yeah, because I know he's good too, but I don't see too much from him, right? Besides, yeah, literally being like a rider class. Yes, I want to see more for him. Oh yeah, that and then the reality marble, yeah. But other than that, I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you have a like, subscribe again, and I'll just see you guys in the next one.